Hello everyone, this is Crota giving you a shoutcast here on Neo Enigma between Empire Kaz and Stephano. This is game 3 in a best of 3 matchup, or I believe it's a best of 3 matchup. Anyways, Stephano spawning as the pink Zerg player here on the bottom left hand side of the map. Meanwhile, Kaz spawning on the top right hand side as the red Terran. So pink Zerg, red Terran here on Neo Enigma. Neo Enigma, one of those maps that I do not know very much about. I have cast a couple games on them, but I can't really make that many predictions. Now, Neo Enigma has a lot of expansions that are very open to you. You have your natural expansion, which is close to your ramp, so it's very easy to defend, and then after that you have your choices on either a lower ground expansion here that also has protection from gold mineral, that has gold mineral patches, but there is this high ground cliff that you have to be careful about, as Terran players may try to siege up. Also, you have another expansion over here behind a set of destructible rocks, but the ramp over here is rather large as well. Normally I would say that this is probably the easier third base to take, just because you're into the center of the map, and you have a lot more mobility to move around. You can guard here. You can have a couple spine crawlers right here as well to try to protect this location. And by having this hatchery down, or a hatchery down, or a command center down here, or especially a planetary fortress here, you're able to get a lot of coverage and a lot of defense to play around and work with. There are also this is a 4-player map, so there are spawning locations on the top left and bottom right hand side, but a drone already making its way out. And did it see? Yes, it did in fact see Kaz over here, and now we are going to see the standard upgrade here. We are going to get a Marine, perhaps a Reaper come out just as well, as we are now getting a hatchery down over here. It's a hatchery followed by a spawning pool, so Stephano sticking to a pretty safe build order, especially on such a large map as this, just because there is such a large walking distances between all the bases. There is also one Xel'Naga watchtower in the center. The Xel'Naga tower is for some reason on fire. That's one of the things I liked about this particular map. A very dark area in the center of the map. There's a lot of brush, and a lot of things can happen in the center just because of line of sight. Gold minerals now being returned all the way home by Daisy the drone. Daisy the drone going to drop them off back at the mineral patch over here, as some drones now being transferred from the main base to the natural expansion already. So it looks to be this game is already underway. It's still early on in this matchup so far, as we are now getting a command center placed down. So this is going to be a Reaper expansion here on Neo Enigma, so it is going to have one Marine here, and then that one particular Lone Reaper making its way out to try to do some scouting. The SCV has already seen the hatchery here, so he doesn't need to scout perhaps this particular hatchery, but he wants to see what exactly Stephano is building. Now, for some reason, a lot of Zerg players have moved away from roaches as of recently, or in recent history, and the metagame almost calls for roaches to come back. There's been a lot of Hellion harassment, a lot of Reaper expansions, and roaches on creep do move quickly enough to at least try to handle a Reaper. In comes the Reaper now. The Reaper, however, going to be forced to turn around, taking a claw in the back. The Reaper trying to test that range. The Reaper does have a range of, I believe, 4.5 compared to a range of 3 on the Queen, and because of that, that Queen, if you can micro, you can kite it very easily, as the Zerglings are going to be more than ready to welcome that one particular Reaper there, and that Reaper now turned around. So nicely done by Stephano. Stephano having very good game sense to know that that Reaper would be coming around the corner, and yeah, not riding the 6 white horses, but coming around the corner from the far side. Spine Crawler now very close to that ramp over here, enabling it to get some damage off before the units get within combat range, also, or sight range. Drones now making the trek over as well, as this drone gonna grow up to be a Spine Crawler as well. There we go. We see the Infernal Pre-Igniter research already underway, and this is just very odd that a lot of Terran players have recently found the use of Hellions to be very effective, and that roaches are not being trained. Roaches have a decent range, a range of 4. They also move quickly on creep, and because of the time that it takes for a Hellion to stop in order to attack, you would think that the roaches would be a very natural counter, but perhaps the roaches just don't want to be trained up. I also find roaches very successful at trying to take down trying to take down what's it called, Thors as well. If you're able to swarm in and come in with a lot of roaches, as roaches do like to do, roaches have a very fast movement speed of 3 when upgraded. Now there is also blue flame research now coming in, and now that those Hellions are going to be able to torch that Zergling very easily. And now, the key question is going to be whether or not there's actually room here for a Hellion to sneak by. If there is actually room for a Hellion to sneak by, that's a horrible front door, as the Queens are already getting ready to sacrifice themselves in order to push against those Hellions. We are getting the level 1 Carapace upgrades. Zergling's now down over here, and now the Zerglings are going to try to come in, and down goes one Hellion already. And now it does not look like he really wants to test the waters there at all. Now the Hellion is going to move around over here, trickly see that there isn't a third base, and Kaz has to be pretty happy knowing that the Hellions are at least going to semi-contain his opponent. The Hellions now hiding off to the far expansion at the 10 o'clock location, ready to be used and saved for a rainy day. Spine crawlers now making their way down to that low ground. Spine crawlers do take 12 seconds to root. I believe they uproot pretty instantaneously, so yeah, only twice as long as a siege tank, and since it doesn't cost any gas and doesn't cost any food, it's probably a very, very worthwhile investment to get a couple spine crawlers. We are getting a hatchery now down here on the low ground, and banelings being hatched. So as those banelings are being hatched, it's going to be very effective against all of these Marines that are being trained up, but the siege tanks in siege mode will be able to essentially remotely detonate any of those banelings before damage is dealt. The hatchery doesn't have to really worry about the Hellions, as the Hellions are not going to deal that much damage or significantly enough damage to stop a hatchery from growing. You can see that it's really not that much further behind, only probably suffering somewhere within the realm of 30 to 40 damage, as Hellions only deal 8 damage against structures, one of the weaknesses of Hellions. But then again, if Hellions did maximum damage towards a structure, that'd probably be Inba anyways. Marines still being added into this army. There's going to be some medevacs as well. And knowing Kaz is most likely going to try to go for a drop with one of these medevacs to try to be as a distractionary tactic. There is also this high ground location here where a couple siege tanks would be more than enough to deal a lot of damage and then shut down this one particular hatchery. The problem, though, is once one Mutalisk will be able to clean up those siege tanks if there's no Marine support. But secondly, the main problem is going to be that if he tries to camp out on this high ground in order to destroy this hatchery, the Zerglings may simply just be able to circumnavigate and then run around this and engage another way. The Hellions now trying to run away, and it looks like the Marines are going to be able to stim in just in time. The Mutalisk and Zerglings are both sides trying to engage. The Mutalisk trying to engage, no, backing off. And both sides just playing a game of chicken to see who's going to engage first. 28 Zerglings and 8 banelings currently in production, so a lot of Zerglings now being massed up. The Zerglings do have that level 1 armor upgrades, which is very important, as they are not going to get one-shotted by those siege tanks even in siege mode. The siege tanks now starting to siege up along the backside, and now trying to drop in, and now the Marines are going to have a very difficult time as the Marines are still in the medevac, and oh my gosh, that was absolutely beautiful. I gotta re-see that. So I'm going to purposely turn off the hit point bar here. As the Zerglings now coming in, you're going to see the banelings roll through, and now all of that, just massive death right there, taking down multiple Marines. And now Stephano having a significant lead in terms of his army, about 1,000 resources ahead. And there you see Kaz just stunned in disbelief at how much damage was dealt. Siege tank also going to get destroyed as well. He accidentally picked up some of his units, and now Kaz losing a majority of his army in this engagement. Mutalisk now trying to come in as well. Marines trying to run away, but Kaz is desperately in trouble trying to run back. And now Stephano overwhelming the base defense here, and there is the game by Kaz. So Millennium Stephano able to avenge his fallen comrade, Millennium Adele, here in Neo Enigma in this best of 3 matchup. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening. Hope you guys enjoyed this 1v1 matchup between Kaz and Stephano here on Neo Enigma.